When initially choosing which figures were the good guys and bad guys for the Transformers toy line, it was decided the cars and trucks were the good guys, the Autobots.
Kids like cars. Kids like cars. Okay, the cars will be the good guys.
The Decepticons, the bad guys, were the planes and everything else.
Planes, they're not too sure about planes. How many plane trips do little kids take, especially in those days, right? Okay, they're not too sure about it. Good, those will be the bad guys. Guns are not good. That'll be the head bad guy.
From this concept came the idea that all of the Decepticons can fly.
Attack from the sky!
One of their warriors looks down upon all beneath him. Despite his need to be persuaded into the Decepticon cause, comes the mighty sonic boom creating seeker, Thundercracker. I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one, or purchase some merch on my Spring store today. In the original Diaclone toy line, the F-15 Eagle Jet Robo-Toy was released in two colors, the gray High-Speed Fighter and the blue Acrobat. As mentioned in my Skywarp retrospective, these two, in addition to a new black and purple colored version, were released in the Transformers toy line in 1984 as Decepticon Jets. When Hasbro had tasked Marvel to give a backstory to the Transformers, the original characters named by Denny O'Neil and the treatment written by Jim Shooter described a Decepticon named Ulktar, who scorned any creature incapable of flight yet needed justification for his evil actions. However, the writing duties were then passed to Bob Budiansky, who revised this profile by changing the name to Starscream. While the name was given to the gray high-speed fighter jet, the bio itself was then reassigned and further revised for the blue Acrobat jet with a new name, Thundercracker. As such, Thundercracker is a fierce Decepticon warrior that soars through the skies with the ability to create deafening sonic booms, and is equipped with powerful drone rockets and incendiary guns. Thundercracker believes that terror is the deadliest weapon and is utterly contemptuous of anything that cannot lift itself off the ground. However, he is not fully convinced of the Decepticon cause. But with persuasion from his fellow Decepticons and fear of Megatron's wrath, Thundercracker finds his sense of purpose, leaving flame and destruction behind him as he speeds up into the sky. First appearing in the Marvel Comics, Thundercracker was one of the many Transformers aboard the Ark that crash-landed on Earth 4 million years ago. Reawakening in the then-present day of 1984, Thundercracker was eager to pick off any land-bound enemies from the skies as he assured Megatron that the Decepticon cause was also his. As such, Thundercracker attacked both humans and Autobots with a deafening sonic boom that could even cause boulders to fall upon any Autobots below. Unfortunately, Thundercracker wasn't well utilized as the comics continued, which remained true even in his appearances in the UK exclusive stories. Following Megatron to attack the Ark, Thundercracker was crushed by the mighty Omega Supreme, and his body lay captured by the Autobots within the Ark for several years. While Thundercracker wasn't seen as much in the comics, he regularly appeared in the G1 cartoon among his fellow Decepticons in the first 2 seasons of the cartoon. Voiced by John Stevenson, Thundercracker looked down on the planet Earth and its inhabitants, even lamenting about it to his close friend Skywarp.
You know, Skywarp, I can't wait to get back to Cybertron. Earth's so flat. Yeah, I know what you mean, Thundercracker.
He even balked at the prospect of giant insects, but was pleased to learn that the Insecticons were in fact Decepticons as well.
And the giant bugs aren't bugs at all. They're Decepticons, like us.
It was this sense of air superiority that angered Thundercracker when the Decepticons teamed up with the undersea kingdom of Subatlantica in their invasion of Washington, D.C.
Why must we share our power with those obnoxious Subatlanticans, Megatron?
His lingering doubt was brought to the surface in the episode Fire on the Mountain. Doubting the use of Earth-made steel for a Decepticon weapon, Thundercracker even considered allowing Skyfire to destroy it to get back at Starscream, whom he thought was a terrible leader.
On the other hand, if I let you wreck our new weapon, Megatron might blame Starscream. which would make me very happy.
When the Decepticons retreated, Thundercracker expressed his disgust to Megatron and Starscream, roaring his engines.
What's the matter, fearless leader? You and Starscream look real geeky. Maybe the Autobots have such wits after all.
The episode's script even called for this to be a sonic boom, though the episode itself simply used a slightly louder than usual jet sound effect.
Does he have to make that awful thunder noise? I've got a headache.
Still, Megatron was also able to use this power against Optimus Prime in Heavy Metal War. Despite this doubt and loyalty, Thundercracker still found Megatron's leadership worthy enough to take orders from.
Wonderful, Megatron. With your leadership, we can't fail.
Especially when compared to Starscream,
Some leader you turned out to be, Starscream.
as he used his explosive missiles and incendiary blasters to overheat and ignite his enemies.
Megatron said to give you a warm welcome.
Thundercracker's final cartoon appearance was in Transformers the movie. Fatally injured during the Battle of Autobot City, Thundercracker was among the Decepticons tossed out into deep space, where the planet-eating planet Transformer, Unicron, rebuilt him into Scorch. It should be noted that some of Thundercracker's personality did cross over in his new persona,
It's not your place to think.
but that is a discussion for another day.
What I have given you, I can also take away.
Although the UK comics caused a slight continuity error by reactivating him earlier, Thundercracker was rescued by his fellow Decepticons as Grimlock and Blaster battled for leadership on the moon. Although he was revived under Ratbat's command, Thundercracker alongside his buddy Skywarp were killed by an underbase-powered Starscream. In 1991, a new figure of Thundercracker was released in European and Australian markets as a redeco of Action Master Starscream. Coming packaged with a ride-on F-117 Nighthawk jet that could transform into battle armor, Thundercracker was, instead of his iconic blue, in a garish neon color scheme. Thundercracker was even less recognizable in 1997's Machine Wars toy line. Originally developed for Generation 2, Thundercracker transformed into a Dassault Rafale fighter jet. Beginning in the 21st century, new versions of Thundercracker would restore his classic color scheme and take on elements of his original bio. In Transformers Armada, a new Thundercracker figure was released and was packaged with his Minicon partner, Zapmaster. His online bio described him as suffering from self-esteem issues and would risk his own life to prove himself to Megatron. However, like all of the recolors of the Armada toy line, the anime did not portray this figure as Thundercracker, but as an upgrade for Starscream when the Minicons restored many of the Autobots and Decepticons battling Nemesis Prime. This led to a line inserted into the English dub that played into Thundercracker's toy origins.
It looked like Thundercracker.
Thundercracker would return in Transformers Cybertron, with a new design differing quite a bit from Starscream, transforming into a Sukhoi Su-37 Terminator, and voiced by Mark Oliver, who emulated Larry the Cable Guy.
Blasting Optimus Prime will be marching to the big league. Woo-hoo! Time to get her done.
Thundercracker enjoyed bringing terror from the skies with missile fire and his Thunder Cannon. However, Thundercracker was not the brightest of the bunch, leading him to getting blasted by the Autobots most of the time. This even led to a bit of a rivalry with Jetfire,
You like a bad habit. I hate this guy.
as the loudmouth Decepticon fought to gain recognition.
Super electric losses Thundercracker punch. Crikey, now that's what I'd call a punch.
After Galvatron's death, Thundercracker decided he wanted to be on the winning team, spending his time rebuilding cities on Earth. However, his former Decepticon comrades decided to form their own new Decepticon army and unwillingly recruited Thundercracker as they took off for parts unknown. While he was not present in the live-action films, several figures of Thundercracker were produced as simple redecos of the live-action version of Starscream, the first of which retooled his head to more closely resemble his G1 counterpart. Thundercracker's bio described him as a warrior who reveled in instilling fear in his enemies and stuck to the Decepticon cause because it allowed him to indulge in his chaotic tendencies. His minor appearances in tie-in video games and comics saw Thundercracker as a personal assistant for Shockwave, and later as a possible second-in-command for Starscream. Violently attacking the Autobots, Thundercracker brutally injured RC, which led to her being split into 3 bodies. Transformers Animated played into the fact that the Seekers were made from the same mold by making them literally clones of Starscream. Given life using fragments of the Allspark, each of the clones exhibited aspects of Starscream's personality and were officially named in the Allspark Almanac. Taking on Starscream's bloated ego, Thundercracker believed himself to be the superior version.
You second-rate clones aren't even worthy to breathe my exhaust fumes.
As the Seekers launched an assault on both the Autobots and Decepticons.
Fool! A mere construction bot is no match for my superior firepower!
Unfortunately, Thundercracker was accidentally sent through the space bridge, leaving him stranded in deep space. In the Aligned continuity, Thundercracker was a playable character in a single level in the War for Cybertron video game. Voiced by Graham McTavish, Thundercracker took a more level-headed approach compared to Skywarp and Starscream, as the trio traveled into Cybertron's underground to activate the geosynchronous Energon Bridge. Thundercracker was absent from the Transformers Prime cartoon, though another Decepticon jet, Dreadwing, had doubts about the Decepticon cause with a spark-deep hatred for Starscream. Even so, 2 figures of Thundercracker were made, both of which were recolors of Starscream. Speaking of which, with all of these new versions of Thundercracker, several toys have been released over the years, and nearly all of them have been recolors of either Starscream or Skywarp. It is because of this that fans have come to expect that whenever a new version of one of the trio is released, that the other 2 are sure to follow. As such, it was quite a stir when both Starscream and Skywarp were released at retail in the Classics toy line, and Thundercracker was part of a BotCon exclusive set in 2007, of which only 1,500 were produced. This led to some fans scrambling to import the Japanese Henkei box set of the Seeker trio. In 2011, Hasbro finally released a retail version of Thundercracker as part of the Generations toy line. In that same year, BotCon returned to the world of Shattered Glass, releasing this mold in Thundercracker's Action Master colors in a world of evil Autobots battling against the heroic Decepticons. However, the G1 version of Thundercracker hasn't been forgotten about, but his roles have been relatively minor, depicting him as nothing more than a Decepticon goon. This included creating sonic booms in the G2 comics, following Starscream into battle and later getting some R&R with his buddy Skywarp in the Dreamwave comics, or as part of Megatron's zombie army in the Regeneration 1 comics. Despite these smaller appearances, Thundercracker made his debut at the start of the IDW Comics run with an ear-piercing sonic boom. Infiltrating the Earth with his fellow Decepticons, Thundercracker was part of Starscream's elite Seekers that attacked from the skies with his buddy Skywarp under Megatron's supreme command. It was from here that the idea of Thundercracker's doubts of the Decepticon cause were explored in a new way. After banishing the Autobots from Earth through a space bridge, Megatron began his invasion by conquering Manhattan. It was through these events that Thundercracker found it difficult to find joy in outright slaughter. Feeling that a nuclear bomb strike brought dishonor to the Decepticon name, Thundercracker saved the Autobots by destroying the bomb in deep space. For his betrayal, Skywarp blasted Thundercracker, leaving his former friend for dead. Surviving the assault, Thundercracker hid himself on Earth watching TV broadcasts as he was fascinated by how humans have changed over their history. Despite his exile, Thundercracker would on occasion come out of hiding to help defend the Earth from threats posed by Cybertronians and other alien lifeforms. Eventually, the EDC granted Thundercracker sanctuary and gave the former Decepticon a pet dog named Buster, whom he wished to protect at all costs. With a new outlook on life and a growing friendship with EDC director Marissa Fairborn, TC, as some began to call him, grew from simply watching TV to actually wishing to become a screenwriter himself. While honing his craft, Thundercracker still reluctantly helped the Autobots in stopping Galvatron from invading the Earth with combiners, of which he was temporarily forced to become one himself. Once the threat of this ancient Decepticon was ended, TC got his wish, making a highly embellished film on the life of Starscream. While the movie was barely seen, it did allow Thundercracker to reunite with his former friend Skywarp, and open the door for a second movie to be made. However, it was during post-production that Unicron attacked the Earth. Reunited with Skywarp and Starscream once more, the Seekers helped stop the universe-ending threat. TC's second film was in fact a success, as he and Buster awaited to see if he had won Best Screenplay. In recent years, Thundercracker has had several opportunities to try and show his air superiority as a Decepticon warrior, even in relatively minor roles. In the Prime Wars trilogy, Thundercracker was among the many Seekers that tried stopping the assault of Trypticon. As a boss battle in the game Transformers Devastation, Thundercracker believed that Megatron's current plan was madness.
My loyalty only goes so far. Tampering with plasma energy? That's madness.
In the Bumblebee movie, several Decepticons attack the Autobots on Cybertron, with some bearing resemblance to Thundercracker himself. In Transformers Cyberverse, Thundercracker is one of the many Seekers under Slipstream's command. Voiced by Ben Bott, this version of Thundercracker was, like most Seekers in the show, not as intelligent as other Transformers.
Thundercracker, is any of that true?
Well, not really, but it's scarier that way.
But he did look down upon all Autobots, whether they could fly or not. Always following orders, Thundercracker never questioned his superiors, which eventually led him and all of the Seekers to be killed by an Allspark-powered Starscream. Receiving a new figure in the War for Cybertron Trilogy's Siege toyline in 2019, set before the Transformers came to Earth, Thundercracker transformed into a Cybertronian Tetrajet, appearing in the Netflix animated series and voiced by Danny Hansen.
We've hacked into what's left of Steeljaw.
Thundercracker unfortunately fell into the background, but was consistently present under Starscream's command as the Decepticons pursued the Autobots to retrieve the Allspark on Earth. Almost completely forgotten about in IDW's rebooted continuity, Thundercracker appeared as part of Red Wing's Seeker Squad as the comics came to a close. Despite this, Thundercracker still remains a staple in the Transformers toy line, especially since he's an easy recolor of Starscream. This included being sold in a Target-exclusive 2-pack with Skywarp in the War for Cybertron Trilogy's Earthrise line, a more cartoon-accurate take in the Masterpiece line, and a screen-accurate Bumblebee movie figure in Studio Series. Recently announced for 2023 is a new core-class Thundercracker to once again allow fans to complete their Seeker trio. With all these numerous appearances over the years, Thundercracker is certainly more than just another Decepticon jet. His unique personality as one who wants others to keep him persuaded to the Decepticon cause while believing heavily in air superiority is one fans hope more writers can further showcase in future Transformers stories.
My superior intelligence detects the kernel of a useful idea in that endless prattle of yours.
Especially if it's alongside his buddy Skywarp. Certainly, Thundercracker could drink to that.
This stuff's the greatest!
But what do you think? Is Thundercracker better served as a Decepticon lackey, or is there more to him than meets the eye? What is your favorite version of the character? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
I shall